I'm going to share with you a great example of different times and different temperatures in short ribs. So I have a 79-degree temperature sous vide bath working here. And I've got a 62-degree temperature sous vide bath working here. I also have a test sous vide piece of potato with a spongy material that's adhered to that. And when we're doing a lot of sous vide, we always want to see where we are in our test. So what we'll do is we'll have a probe thermometer. We'll puncture through the foam into the center of the product that we're cooking. And again, this is just a potato to show for an example. So right now you can see that temperature is 14 degrees Celsius. And we'll just monitor this as we go, just as some fun to do. When they're in large companies, when they're doing mass quantities of sous vide, they'll always have something that they're testing. So in the meantime, as you can see, we have a short rib here that we braised traditionally. Sous videing short ribs in the slow method is 62 degrees Celsius for 48 hours. Now, you can see that there's not a lot of fat in here. There is some juice, but there's not a lot of fat. The muscle and fiber is broken down, so this short rib is going to have the texture of a very succulent short rib with all the fat in there. And fat, we really love that fat. Fat is flavor, so we have a lot of that fat in here. It's cooked very slowly, so it broke down the tissue, broke down the muscle, the fiber, but it didn't render the fat. Gentle cooking, long time. This one, we cooked at a much higher temperature, 79 degrees, for a shorter period of time. You can cook it fast and still break down the muscle, break down the fiber, rendering it very tender. But you can see we've lost a lot of the fat in this, of course, so then it becomes a little smaller as well. And the liquid, as I'm pointing out, is not the same color. Again, because of that rendering process. So I want you to see the difference when I cut them cold, and then I want you to see the difference when we cut them hot. I mean, even the way they appear is so much different. Classically braised, 79 degrees Celsius, 62 degrees Celsius. So just so you understand here, the difference. So look at that. It has the appearance of being medium in the way it's cooked, but the texture is the same texture. It's that succulent, rich, soft texture that we've come to associate with short ribs that have been braised for a long time. This is the 79 degree short rib. You can see it's a little flakier, because it's lost some of the fat. So the fat's what's keeping it bound together, certainly when it's cold. And of course, it looks a little different. And you can see the way, when I cut it, it started to kind of almost crumble a little bit. And then this is our traditional braised short rib. So those are the three different short rib preparations that we've done through time and temperature. 62 degrees, 79 degrees, classically braised in an oven a much higher temperature than we want to achieve internally, to cook the meat. Now I want to show you those when they're hot. Here we have our classically braised short rib. Of course, it's braised in a liquid, so we prepare the sauce to people at the same time we prepare the short rib. These other two, we don't have a sauce. So what can we do with those? Anything we want. We can make a sauce, whether that's something that's a veal stock base, or we can pan sear them, serve them as a steak, if you will. Even use them in a salad, whether it's a heated protein or cold protein in a salad. Oh, look at this, we're up to 31 degrees Celsius on our potato already in a 62 degrees centigrade bath. So if I can, I'm gonna pull this out. Now, this here represents the 79 degree short rib that's cooked fast, or faster, I should say. And now it's hot. We're gonna go ahead and drain it. It's very, very tender. You see all that liquid that has been rendered out of that. A lot of fat in there, a lot of the moisture from the meat itself. Type of our 62 degree short rib cooked sous vide. You know, again, very tender. But again, there's not a lot of fat in, but it's here. Most of that is just the moisture from the beef. You just go ahead and now represent how they looked. Very tender, you can see. See when I cut that, how it starts to flake apart here. Right? See the fibers connected. You still see some fat there, but that's kind of what we've come to expect in our braised meats. The same way that we do our classically braised short rib. We're up to 40 degrees in the internal temperature on that potato in a 62 degree bath, so it's taken about 10 minutes just to get to that point. You see here, again, where the fiber kind of starts to shred somewhat, okay? And then just to give you an example of what we can do, besides making a classically prepared presentation for a short rib. As I mentioned, we can treat this as any piece of meat. I can really handle this much easier than I could handle that, which was very tender. You see? Now we know it's already hot, so we're just going to sear it off. And then just, because I like it, we'll just baste it with a little bit of butter. Turn our heat down. Again, this is just an example to show you some ways or give you at least an idea of what you usually can do with the short rib that's been cooked sous vide at a very low temperature for a long period of time. Now, also, this gives you an indication of the fact that sous vide cooking is not necessarily convenient. It takes much more time. But if you prepared these short ribs and did them in some quantities as we do at the restaurant, then it gives you the opportunity to have convenience and have these en place as part of your mise en place to be able to then finish on pickup or during service. So you can see how easy I can move this around and how easy it cuts. There we have a true example of 3 different preparations of the same piece of meat, one classically braised in the oven, one cooked at 79 degrees, and one cooked at 62 degrees for different periods of time.